I like my little light up pen. It's good. I know, yeah, we're live. Just enjoying my pen moment, you know?
Right, yeah, I guess. That game, not much to talk about, so you might as well talk about your pen.
Exactly. I feel nice to give it a pen that's also got like little play you can play on the mobile.
I was like, what's going on? Is he lagging? Like, you know, it's just like...
Well, it needed to feel some time, you know, when a game was that fast, and when it comes to Gambit winning maps, and especially when it's not Dust 2, they show us this full strength. You mentioned it, Janko, this Shiro and Axel moment of when they can come together and they can be this simple-esque electronic duo. Well, they showed it in massive skill.
Yeah, both 118 ADR in this game,
Wild.
really. You know, unfortunately, Shiro 28 kills, 16 of them with the AWP. Insert the Michael Jordan photo, and I took that personally, slash NKJ interview, right? So, yeah, I mean, jokes aside, who knows how players receive that? Some may look at it and like take it as fuel, right? So I'm sure Dralon is going to have a conversation with HLTV about those clickbaity titles,
yeah,
right?
Maybe not take a page out of the Score Esports playbook, you know? Yeah, on the big side, you know, I guess as the saying goes, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. You know, just the fact that, you know, this is a map which you like played maybe once in the past 3 months, you know, and just letting that float in the veto gives me the impression that, okay, you came in this with a plan prepared specifically for Gambit, right? And I guess we kind of saw like glimpses of that, you know, with the mid control, Tizian's aggressive lurks, but in the end, you know, the problem with this type of setup is that if your plan fails, you know, what do you fall back on? You don't really have that fundamental.
And the reason why a team is really good on a map most of the time is due to their T side, and what they're really good at on T side is punishing plays in there, having a strong default, right? Like being good on any T side comes from having a strong default, and that's what you saw from Gambit. Like even when some of those lurks did come through, like Tizian gets a kill on Hobbit, they still kind of react very quickly in a good way. They take the side, right? So it really negates the lurk, and Gambit finally shown like that. That's one of the main strengths of their game, really, is a strong default on the T side, and they've really stepped up here on the first map.
And even when we saw big at times on their CT side try to get aggressive, try to get some more information, poke out against it, it was Gambit who were there with like boosts to be ready for it, protocols to spam back and fire back on it. There was really watchful work.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, we can show actually the clip that we have picked out, because that's exactly what you're talking about. Their big try to do it really from the first gun round. I mean, you can see Keto right in a forward position with the AWP, and unfortunately this is one of those situations. You don't hit the shot, you're dead. And we see it straight up from Nafani, you know, gets the kill. He knows that there's probably a lot of space. One more guy towards Donut somewhere. They just use their utility to negate that deep angle, right, towards CT spawn. Gets another kill on Tizian. And that's really round over, and unfortunately, and they get some kill on the exits, and we'll go straight into the second clip, James.
Wow.
Because it just shows you really the opposite side of it, right? Like, and that's what Big really was dependent on. Most of the rounds that they won were due to individual performances. So you can see here, Keto a bit more defensive position, late round, obviously, right? And now he's hitting his shots, right? A great movement, great triple kill from him, and that's it. Round is over, right? And that's all it takes sometimes, you know. No matter how unfortunate it is, if that anchor is on point, especially with the AWP, it's hard to penetrate the bomb site. And if he gets caught, the round is pretty much over. And Big won a half buy with 2 saved guns the round before this, the Keto 3K, the Searson 4K with the op, and the final round, I think, of the half or the penultimate round. So unfortunately, they just needed more hero performances, really, when they're such an underdog on a map like Ancient.
And it started to get scary because we spoke about the fact in a lot of these games, even against the lesser opponents, Gambit started off slow. Well, that wasn't the case this time around, right? They get off to a great start and they just kept running with it.
To be fair, like a lot of those games, like the first map was Dust 2, obviously, you know, the one which they looked the weakest on, and every time where it came down to actually closing out the series, then they delivered, right? Those leaving the enemy team in double digits. So just the fact that they started off Ancient here, you know, is like a more comfortable map for them, I guess, than Dust 2.
Well, more uncomfortable for Big as well. I think Big probably was hoping, like, with the veto, that Gambit was going to go for Vertigo as their own comfort pick and not have to worry about any shenanigans from Big on Ancient. But Gambit, great job calling their bluff. I think that's what you need to do when you have an advantage in the map pool. You need to actually use it, right? Like, and that's what they did. But now we go to Dust 2. Obviously a must-win map for Big. They're facing elimination, and also they're probably the favorite on this map, seeing as how Gambit played recently and how good Big has been on Dust 2, even the previous iteration. They translate that to the new Dust Dust 2, right? So I think there's a good chance we see that third map.
But even with that, right, obviously looking back at all these Gambit Dust 2s, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't good, but it was also, you mentioned Janko, Axel wasn't there in a lot of it. He's definitely ready for this game. Do you think they're just stepping up when it's a higher profile game?
I think so. I think that's going to be the case here. They're going to play better than they did on previous Dust. And also, it's a learning experience. They probably misjudged some things about their approach, right? Like, thought some things were going to work that actually didn't. Could be also, you know, against lower tier opponents, they do some unexpected things, right? They don't understand sometimes the risks that they're taking, so it catches you off guard. But I've just seen a lot of good things from Big on this map who really, you know, give the edge. The way Gambit wins is if they just keep like keep rolling over them individually, right? Like have some good rounds over and over again, some big clutches. I think team-wise, I give a slight edge to Big on the map.
But here's the thing, you know, since this is Big's pick, I guess Gambit is going for the CT start on this side, which they are stronger on, right? It was the T side which they always had issues with. So if you start strong on CT, just string together like enough rounds to like manage through the T side, you know, that's your win condition here as Gambit.
Stylistically though, right, Big, not only just they're the better team on Dust 2 from what we've seen from the tournament, but stylistically it's very different to like playing an Enterprise on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the problem for Big might be they lose the pistol, they're 3-0 down, and then they don't get a long spawn, so you kind of have to play default. Shiro has the op. You have to play slower on T side because of the whole lower mechanic now and everything. And you know, if they lose that round by playing slow, and now you're 5-0 down, then it gets like really difficult to play. There's probably a lot of money on the Gambit side, right? I think that's a scenario they need to avoid at all costs, because it can be really suffocating to play T side, you know, when the CTs have a lot of confidence, when they have good economy, right? And they feel like they can always boost up CAT, they can go into lower B, they can do all these things, right? And just drains out the clock so much when you're on the T side to make sure you don't give away those kills and take some map control.
And in terms of, obviously, we know this is very favoured for Big in it. Mentally, I don't think I need to worry about them, though, right? This is a team that's always been quite strong, quite well put together. We just saw them outside as well. They should be in a comfortable spot to think, come on, this is our map, and we're on a great streak with this right now.
Yeah, like you said, you know, Dust 2 for this team has always been like either the way to start off a sort of series off strongly, or their way back into a series, right? So Dust 2 coming into this off a 7-map win streak, you know, this is something which they are like, okay, we dropped the first map, you know, it was ancient, time to just reset from there, forget about that. We're going into our own home map, you know, the one we know like as the palm of our hands. So this is our chance to get back into it. And then you go to the decider map where it's like a, you know, from there on it's anyone's game.
Yeah, I think also I want to see Tabson on this map. He's always been good on Dust 2, especially that CT side, playing either rotator or A position, right? Like, has a really good feel for the game. I think he's been one of their standout players when it comes to LAN 2. Bit of a slow first map, but they were getting crushed more or less. It was only Searson who had really a decent game. So, yeah, I think they're going to need some of that with how the stars of Gambit have been playing.
Well, let's see if the stars of Gambit are going to be enough to get them the 2-0, or will Big continue their streak and dominate on Dust 2? We're about to find out with Jay and Dweg.
I have a feeling that Big might have this one, honestly, at least for this very map. I did say that Dust 2 has been a bit of a struggle. Janko mentioned it over on the desk, how it's not been the greatest map for Gambit in this event, and whilst it has been historically fantastic for Big, that's the reason why I feel like this one's going to go down that route. You, earlier before we went on broadcast, were disagreeing with me.
I think the mental factor's huge here, right? Semi-final again. We know that for Big, this has been a slow start for them in the best of 3. Weren't able to find a lot there on that first map of Ancient. And knowing that for Shiro, this is his home turf of Dust 2. Last 3 months, he averages a 1.41 rating on Dust 2. And I think to myself, if he can perform like he did on that last map, there's a very good chance that Gambit take this in 2.
I mean, that's absolutely true. And I feel like that if they are going to take it into it, might be a close little affair. I don't think Big are going to go out without a fight in this one. I feel like they're going to give it their all, and they're going to give this at least a bit of a show for this second map. But I do feel like they're going to have enough. They have enough in the tank to be able to take this map. Again, like just the issues that Gambit have had. Like there are just some losses that you can't really accept on this map of Dust 2.
Sure.
Like obviously, we take a look at the V4 events so far, and losing to Fiend is fair enough. The Enterprise loss though was a little bit silly to me.
Yeah, but look at the way that they bounced back, and it shows that there was definitely some issues into that map, and that they're going to get ironed out for today. They're going to know into today Dust 2 has to get picked. There's no way that Big come into this best of 3 not picking Dust 2. We have a look at the last head-to-head. Again, that was on the 11th of May 2020. It was a semi-final in that Loot Bet Season 6 event. Gambit, they were Gambit youngsters back then, took that in a 2-0. Dust 2 got played and it was 16-8. Again, it was a while ago, but it's the fact that it was a semi-final.
Gambit could be on for another semi-final 2-0, and this time on LAN as well against Big. That much is definitely a possibility here, and it could well make it reality if they can show up in their particular fashion and in the way that they've hoped that they've been able to force Dust 2 into the map pool in this event. For me, I'm a little bit more skeptical to that factor. I feel like Big, they just know what they're doing on this map, so let's see them jump into it and see how far they can go. Pistol round, T-side start for Big. Pistols in with the standard USPs and the Glocks out for the respective squads. No upgrade pistols, no mass amount of utility. Enough for the execution for the T side, enough for the defensive for the sequence.
Early long contact in from Gambit of at least getting players down to that pit and bait and switch, angle out into the blue bin. It seems as if Big just trying to see if they can maintain some of this aggressive short position. So far for Hobbit with Xbox being smoked, he hasn't seen anything.
Looking out with the USP for the likes of Keto or Tizian. Being a bit aggressive and might even bait them into the mid-door face. He's going to wait behind that corner. The smokes go down. Nafani can try body block it. Look on the position, dish out some damage, but Hobbit is the man that gets taken down first. Great start for Keto. Now Inger's going to provide support. He does get that one headshot, but only one headshot. As he falls B-sides open, it'll be a 4v3 on the retake.
A difficult retake. They really need to deal with Tizian straight away before they can even think about getting into the bomb site. They know that he's here.
Well secured, Axel will find him and now turn it back into the even man standing. HP advantage just slightly favour the CT forces on this one. Gade at car, 2 players at plat, 1 forward at Xbox, 1 player back at blue. Shiro can't see the head. The flashes start going over for Nafani, setting in for the retake. Gade block set back behind the position. Keto and Tabson find their 2 frags, and Nafani suddenly becomes the lone player left in a 1 versus 3. Well out of dodge, without Kevlar. The fuse kit on him had to be the retaking diffuser. His teammates falling. There's no chance left in this round. It will be a pistol game by Big.
Yeah, well done from Big. That was a good takeout from mid. Split themselves into that B site, and Nafani can't really do anything. Keto with a 3K starting things off lovely, and that's just what Big need. It's the confidence booster of winning the pistol. Now we've got to look at trying to get that round 2 conversion, try and see if we can defeat that force buy that's going to be coming through from Gambit.
Yeah, much better turnaround for them. Need to get this pistol, need to get the conversions as well. That's why how Gambit set themselves up in the lead and never conceded it from that point. So Big probably need a similar start here on their home turf. What's the force in for the CT side of Gambit will feature some upgrades in the scouts, the SMGs and the pistols of the 5.7 Eagle CZ. Nothing major for this one, but you would expect a second round force buy.
Oh, Big are the second lowest team in this event for their round 2 conversions, Jay. 25% won. That doesn't look that encouraging going into the second round.
Well, who's the worst?
Who's the worst? Not Big. They're the second worst.
I'm pretty sure Gambit might be down there somewhere as well. They found that first pick in this particular round there. Axel headshot onto Searson, so encouraging start for the Russians this time. Big continue pressing onto long. Axel looking for his second frag. The flashes continue coming over. He will get forced back into the center of the side. Eventually see one man get so close to the headshot on Tabson, but doesn't land it. So it will be a 4 versus 4 with the CZ of Hobbit getting away with one more. And finally picks up the mantle of the scout and turns it into a frag, finishing off the job that Axel had started. 3v2, Deagle shots missed from Shiro, forced back out of position. His D-side players' opponents will get into the walls of the site itself, burn quite significantly. Can't be able to get the bomb plant just yet, but they'll get close towards it, especially as they get it to a 2 versus 2.
Fighting with the scout still on the side doing damage, and now all comes down to Gade. And what was that? 25%, even lower now. What a round coming through from Gambit. And it seems to be a consistent struggle for the Germans of winning pistol and not converting that second round.
Yeah, this is not a very good start. It was a great start with the pistol. Now, since that point, it's come to fruition for the Gambit camp. Great shot from Axel to start off the round itself. Shame we didn't get even more out of that, but Nafani turned that scout on his dead body onto a fantastic round hold from him. Not even a bomb plant gained there by Big. They were desperate in need of money for this one. And of course, they had the force back in with the upgrade pistols. No cash in the bank.
Now, they did win a few force buy and eco victories when we look back at that Fiend result. There was definitely some scrappy rounds coming into the mix there when we had a Mirage and Dust 2 being played out. So don't count this force buy out of the equation. Gambit have got a lot behind them to go up against the pistols. The issue I have here for Big is the lack of utility. 1 flash for Gade, and that's it.
Set to position, just going to wait here in mid. Keto walks forward, Deagle in hand, hoping he can catch somebody out here. Smokes will go down from his opposing force. It does force him back.
Try and see if they can put some force and some pressure down towards the A play. Axel up close and personal to that long smoke in the long house. Have to imagine Searson and Tizian need a 1-for-1 trade if that's possible, and Axel just pre-fires.
Reads it so well. It's a kill onto the man and kicks things off for Gambit. It's got two T-side players also back there in the longhouse. Meanwhile, two T-side players acting from short and not already up towards elbow. Hobbit's going to spot him. Not quite take the frag just yet. Eventually comes up good. Keto has found a trade. Samson trying to look for another one. Indeed, he can do just that. But Hobbit does pressure against him and back up on the way. The USP still finds the frag onto Keto. Now Tamsin has an AK in a 1 versus 3. Probably have to get rid of that, honestly. Make sure the CTs can't get their hands back on it and go down against the Gambit side to get a money bonus. He does fight Nafani and does win out that engagement. 20 seconds, backstep still being set by Inters, but Hobbit will find his pick regardless. A triple in this round for him and a second round to the board of Gambit.
Yeah, Hobbit hasn't been able to assist in a lot of fragging when it comes to this event, but definitely assist per round is one of his capabilities first in this event of where he's been able to shine right there. You can look at the shining power up onto that A side. The way that Keto is able to find some impact. Tabson's dealing with the long player. Okay, there's a way back into this round. Even though Hobbit's low, he finds a triple.
For Marshall in hand as well for the man. Not easy for him to get that triple either. Set with the pistols now, the full eco for Big. Not going to have much in terms of what they can do in this round. They'll give it their best shot out towards mid. They'll just rush straight down. Shiro set with the AWP. Searson first to fall. Flick onto the second man, not going to be quite as easy. The USPs can't overwhelm with the numbers game. Hobbit can turn around decent frag, however, to return to the advantage for Gambit. Player up close, they're not aware of Tapson's part. Inter's there, forced into the trade. Damage has been done here by Big.
Well, this looks somewhat promising. If they're able to bait in some more over-aggression and Tizian can hit some decent AWP picks, something could be created here.
His back's turn to Axel, though. Axel's going to find a pick onto him and double up as well. Grab that AWP. Save it into the next round, of course, for the Gambit camp. Carry it forward to their third on the board. 3-1 in the lead as well for the CT forces, and Big will have the guns out. They lost the pistol and they won the pistol, but lost the conversions in the subsequent 3 rounds after that. And now it's just guns out for them.
Yeah, that round was okay for Eco. They put a fair bit of pace down towards those mid doors, really just crunch in onto the AWPer, get away with a secondary pick as well. Aggression could come through from Gambit into those lower tunnels, having a lot of players out from the doors itself. Sure with the AWP, gets flushed off angle, and that smoke goes down, just gets out of there, doesn't even continue to fight.
Just opening shots, not connecting fully. Themselves back up as Keto leans in the first contacting player over here towards the blue bins. He's got his teammates all around him at the longhouse. One lurker out from Gade might be the interesting element, though. The CT's starting to peek forward at the upper tunnels. But he's not taking contact. He's passive at the entrance.
I like the way they've actually left Inters in that sort of upper tunnels position and kept pushing the Nafani forward into lowers. Because Gade's going to say they haven't over-aggressed, they haven't gone all the way out. Inters is drawing the attention. This is all just a bait. They have no idea about Nafani.
Now they've got the flank in. He's so ready. Gade caught. Easy shot. Easy pick. Advantage now. Look at Hobbit, how close he is in mid. He catches that first player. 2 more up to fine. He only gets damage under the second. Keto with a responsive in the AWP. Shiro scoped in and heard. Keto overwhelms him and doubles up. Nade will finally trade back from Axel's part, so a 3v2.
Oh, what a protocol. And now they're even trying to see if they can flash out from mid. They won't be able to catch that bomb because the head's ducked down. Axel's still up here on A and looking for more.
40 seconds, watching for the next man. Headshot perfectly placed. Searson, 1 versus 3, or back out towards Pit. Ahead of Pit. Now outside of the longhouse, and we'll try and just retreat to save the weapon at this stage. 30 seconds, he can't get the bomb back, and he can't put it down to the site. With so many spread out CT players to find the trades and the kills are going to be unlikely for him to clutch this, so slow walk back to car, save the AWP.
He could get hunted after time here, Jay. There is a very good chance this pick comes in.
Ooh. Finally, it's no time in just getting the frag together.
Still all right.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been even better if they were able to hold on to the to the trade after time and just cripple the economy state for for Big, I should say. Because that could have been even better for them. It could have been even more than just this 4th round. It could have been a 4th round leading into a very awkward buyback, which it might still be anyway here for Big. The pistols are coming out.
Yeah, possibly fearful that he turns around or he just rounds the corner and they don't actually get that pick at all, that he just holds on to the AWP. Gambit, 4 in a row. Lack of bomb plants for Big means we're in a state where it's just buy eco. We're not getting those consistent rifle rounds in. This has got to be something they're looking at.
Only just now going to get up to max loss bonus as well, so we will continue with the buy eco, buy half buy, buy half buy. Up until we see a good round coming in for Big, or Tizian can start things off well in this round, and that could spiral things out of control. Axel first to fall.
Hey, he's been a menace down to that long and A position. You could see it in the last round with the protocols, the way that he's using the util, the way that he's still keeping these off angles held. So dealing with the main man is definitely a start in the round. It's what can be gathered after the fact. Now, knowing that kill came out into the longhouse, there's no way they can recover that weapon, so they've got a man advantage. They're still on pistols.
CT is set, Nafani. Smoke down a position, enters, head of blue box, evaded, straight through, connects two. Not quite the triple, actually. The trades are good for the pistols. It's going to be a 3-on-2 advantage instead of a big.
They might just save from here, Gambit. They're so out of position. It's going to take them forever to get back into the bomb side. No kits for those couple of players. This looks like it's pretty much over.
Oh, that's an eco steal for big. Half bought into this round, only had pistols coming out of it, and here we stand. With another round to the board of the T side, and unlikely another round. Talked about the status of the force buys continuing with the war of attrition and the buy eco that we would have been seeing from Big, but didn't even go so far as the second buy. That's encouraging. It breaks that deadly cycle. And at least keeps contention with some save weapons as well. Tizian might give up his life here in the tunnels. He's jump face to try to catch the AWP, and indeed, Shiro will give up his position. But now the T's just know to evade that and keep the weapons in play.
And that's got to be quite frustrating in from Gambit, knowing they lost to an eco, they lost that man advantage to start off the round out in long, and then even the entries coming down into the B site. We saw the way that Nafani and Inters just didn't hold for enough. They weren't able to get enough damage between them. There was some good util usage there from the Germans. Second round gained, and definitely a bit of a steal.
Great Deagle shooting contributed to it. Guns can get brought back down by Gambit. Saving the AWP and the AK means that there's plenty of firepower, and there's still a bit of cash available by around it. And he shots him from Searson, however, not catching the first crosser in Nafani. He's the lone holder on that B site. They've only seen one of them. With tunnels being cleared out, you'll start to recognize what's going on here.
There we are. The vote down there on the social medias, up on Instagram. Get involved. Got another best of 3 after this one. Gambit leading by the front with the fans, leading by the front with the scoreline, 4-2. And now trying to see if they can put pressure down on these mid doors as the smoke starts to dissipate.
Molotovs ahead towards the short position as the T's start walking up. Keto. Man at the back of the pack and maybe on the center of the rotations. Hobbit again inserting himself into this door corner. Expecting there to be some T-side players that will pop their way out of here, but 60 seconds and they just hold their angles, wait for the execution time.
That's information gathering, just that slight sound cue with some of the burning flames coming in. That one incendiary down to the longhouse and the AWP up into the site. They've got to try and molly him out or at least flash him off angle.
Smokes down, jump faces. Execution being set in. Hobbit starts to act on that backstab. Axel knows there's a player making his way back out of the long position. Shiro is orb. Passive position now. Hobbit can strike. Get 2 players on the spray. Look for the triple. Couldn't quite connect on Keto. He's got backup, but he does get traded. Shiro with a 1 trade back. Can't turn around on Gade, who doubles in of his own accord and gets into a 2 versus 2. Man advantage goes nowhere. HP advantage now favors the CT Forces as it drops Gade, and it's Tizian on 44 HP. Falling back down to CT spawn. An unknown entity. I don't think Inters can account for it, but he still wins that fight. 10 seconds. Bombs in the open. Nafani has Dominion over it. All he's got to do is hit this next shot, and that's exactly what he'll do.
What a round coming through from Gambit. What an information play that was from Hobbit. And it all just comes down to the sound cues and what's going on there. They realise that there's a lurk out from the longhouse that isn't challenging. They've got the AWP from Shiro playing out from ramp. So Hobbit has that inkling. I can make an aggressive move. I can work a way forward out from those mid doors. And he just strikes. Yeah, Gade has a great sequence to try and recover the round. And then just time wasting in that 2v2 is all it is.
Big struggling in that one, thanks to Hobbit's backstab mostly. I don't think Shiro would have held on. No bomb plant either. Awkward buyback for Big. Seeing a Galil and a Deagle. Backing up the AWP and the AKs, of which will lean into the mid control. It'll be Searson towards CT. Nafani loses Axar, but the backs are still turned towards the man. Engages 1 player, transfers that spray back, but doesn't get the kill for it.
Shiro out from CT. They're just going to peek him dry. Surely they've got to put a smoke down.
Seeing the foot first enables that kill to come back. Blind shot does not connect to the next player, so it will leave Inters all alone. Smoke back onto the tunnel's entrance. Turns on Tapton, tries to go 180 to Gade. Doesn't quite make it successful though. 2 versus 2. The retake is on.
He does his job there. Gets a 1-for-1. Puts it into an even playing field. And Hobbit's coming through from the upper tunnels.
Molotovs towards window. Shiro going to smoke that off to buy himself a bit more harder cover. The smoke clears out, and there's a player in the open. Perfectly timed for the CT man. And Gade now is back against the wall, pinned in a corner. Flash is evaded. Knows that Shiro's coming in from the left. Coming in from the doors as well. The gun barrel spotted. Hobbit also seen as well. Gay with his frag. 40 HP. 1v1 creeping around. Knows that Shiro's firing. Blind Nursey comes up with the spray. And that's all important for Big's third.
That's a couple of decent rounds in a row there coming through from Gade. He wasn't rewarded in that previous, but that one right there, he steps up, he isolates, he doesn't get baited. You could see the way that Shiro's just trying to wiggle around that gun barrel, try and see if he can force out a pre-fire, or at least a swing out into the open, isolates those 1v1s, plays it to perfection, and for Big, that's an incredibly necessary round, because now look at what that does to the economy of Gambit.
They're forcing back into round 9. We've got upgrade pistols, however, for their troubles. Not a great buy. This might be Big's window back into the matchup here. Quickly out to Longhouse, they'll go. Axile forced back into the back of the A site. He's already on the retreat very early before the flashes started coming forward for him. He's got plenty of players around.
It has to just be a long take in from Big. No lurks in from mid or anything. Sirison could just stay towards that right-hand side of the pit position. And even for Hobbit, he's just keeping info gathered in from mid and just not seeing anything.
Molotovs towards Car will clear out that position. No CT axe. Scout still watching as Inters is 5-7. Axile on the smoke puts that down. Body block Inters trying to generate a gap there at the cross. Doesn't quite do so successfully. He's walked right past Tizian, though. Flash in. CT starting to peek. Tizian's completely blinded off. Damage has been done to his teammates, though. Still fighting pretty close to the ramp. Hobbit probably spotted out there. Engagement for Axel and else. Tizian to get his frag. Hobbit there with a responsive and doubles up as well. Taps forward to do damage towards Gade here. And now his teammates are on the firing line. Finally, Hobbit is traded to a 3 versus 3 scenario, but Bigger suppressed here, putting further utility down. Trying to get into the A site, get this bomb plant if at all possible. They've got to boost up as well to the night, even further for the Fani. Head C, taps up, spams away, Sears and gets the advantage.
Oh, there's so much damage being done. Any of these players could multi-frag, and now the time's being low. They are going to be able to get the bomb down at least.
Shiro on the wraparound towards Long, now being covered off. Inters in the midst of that smoke as it starts to clear. Where does he go with this? Up to elevator, Searson. Closest contact individual at the edge of that player spotted into the first, not quite the second though. Searson holds down the triple and holds down the round for Big. An expensive one though. Gambit forced the issue, however. They also don't have money.
Sirison stepped up massively in that round. He was 1-1-8 at one point. Now he's actually got into a position where he was able to find a triple up against those force buying pistols. And while there was a lot of damage being done, it seems as if Hobbit was creating that opportunity with the multi-kill out from the CZ. It did come down to the slow passive rifles to bait in those overpeaks, make the mistakes happen. And for Big, now just calm it down.
Tactical pause taken. Moment to think things through, and again, the Big to gear themselves up and continue this Dust 2 streak, continue this Dust 2 form. Gonna need to at this stage to keep them alive. Still down by a single round, so it's not out of the woods for them just yet. They've still got a little bit of work that needs to be done. Why this tactical pause is appropriate. But they have got an eco to deal with here. USPs across the board for Gambit, no major investment. AKs will walk up initially. Kito and Gade. Flashbang from Hobbit could allow a peek in from the CT forces here, and that could be stacked around the corner. Cleaned up relatively well. Hobbit with one trade back, 2-1 overall. Gade sees one man out towards Car, spots that second attack to head off. Taps forward, taps in. We'll get his next couple of kills and deal with the last players of the CT forces. So 2 casualties taken there for Big. And the guns come out for both sides.
That's an alright round. You'll take that as an eco, couple of kills, try and see if you can lopside the economy if at all possible. And for Big's Dust 2, currently on a 7-map winning streak. In the last 3 months, we've seen 11 wins and 3 losses for them. Without a doubt, the strongest map in the pool.
They're going to look at Gambit and how cool they're collected these guys are. Searson lands that first pick into the mid control, catching Hobbit to kick things off here in round 11. Great frag, great start. That might be enough for Big already here. The economy state and the general equipment level for Gambit could lead to some very awkward times for them. Losing a rifle, possibly util in mid, that's going to be massive.
And with that mid pick, it just allows them to start really finding a lot of space across the map. You can assume that Gambit aren't going to make too many hyper-aggressive plays in a round like this. Sure, with the AWP, has just not been able to find the same level of impact that he did in the last map. He's got to start to turn things around and keep an eye out for this lurking mid.
Yeah, 4 kills for him at the moment. Inter's up at 7 and not going to extend to 8. Keto just domes him in immediately and forces the save call already for Gambit. Been so careful with their economy state over the course of this CT side. They've gone for a number of saves when they've had disadvantage scenarios. And this is one of those scenarios right here. A 6th to the board of Big as they take the lead away from Gambit. And the save is the correct call here.
It's more so the positioning than the economy, honestly, Jay. You have a look in that round. Okay, Hobbit is the mid player that's trying to cross. He gets caught off guard. What about Inters? He's playing B alone. There's not another teammate to support him. They don't have a mid player. So because of that, yeah, you can look at the economy game and saying, oh, they're saving because of that. They're also saving because they've got no one that can rotate B in a quick fashion to at least get some of those trade kills.
T-Side will go hunting here for Big. They're trying to remove them from play, and that'll destroy the economy anyway here. Smoke's on, Shiro's blinded. A bit more harder cover for him, though. Here they come. Flash ahead. Turn away in 4s. Do find 2 frags. They do catch Axel, though, and the finally will drop. Shiro stays alive. That's 1 gun saved in for the CT side. I don't think they can buy more.
Yeah, that was very well played in from Big, and one aspect of their game plan that they have brought into this tournament so far is being first for their flash assist per round. 0.27, looking to try and see if they can step that up into this best of 3, definitely doing so on Dust 2. And for Gambit, knowing that they had such an early start of 4-1, it just feels as if they're starting to lose their form and lose that momentum.
Yeah, Big in control. Pistols out of the half by now for Gambit, taking it slowly into this round. Try aggress once again into the long position, this time all the way up to house. It's Shiro's AWP saved in that does find that first pick in the mid position. So slightly better for him by comparison to his previous rounds. With the aggression from Nafani being unchecked here at lower tons, there could be potential that the teams can make some mistakes. Nafani spots out Gates, his util coming in towards top mid. Here's the footsteps of Tabson. Doesn't swing to punish yet.
Oh, this looks promising. The AWP is playing on A. They've spotted the bomb up into short. They're playing 2 long players. All that comes down is trying to get the baits forward.
Tizian missed the window, not quite watching for Nafani. Share with his AWP frag through the smoke. 2 players spotted, they turn around, and Nafani struggles, but he gets his kill together. Gane actually assisted TK against Keto, and it's a 3v2. Hogging with a counter backstab will catch off and finish the job that Nafani had started. Tizian in a 1 versus 3, and Gambit have made Big fall apart, just decimating them in his eco. Tizian, though, gets his 2 taps, brings it back to a 1v1. This is still on for him.
He can flash forward once he starts crossing out for the doors, and Shira's going to beat him on the rotation.
AWP at the ready. Got to bring it out. Hearing those footsteps. Flashbang ahead. He lands that shot. Makes it a triple. Shiro with the hero. In the 6th round for Gambit, equalizing once again.
And if there's anything that Big can take away, Jay, on this LAN event and look at it after and say, okay, this is something we've got to work on, it has to be them up against these anti-ecos and anti-force buys. When we have a look at the amount of rounds over the course of this event, they've lost to the half buys, they've lost to the hero weapons, and that one right there, yes, you've got a hero, or what else have you got? Just pistols. We don't even have any armor for most of them.
Oh. Take a look at Shiro's shots once again as well in this round. You can see exactly why they were able to turn it towards his favor. Great patience in the suicide peak, flicked back by getting a tiny amount of info above the smoke on short. And now Big. They will force the issue back in this one. 3 rifles, 2 pistols, the Eagles in, AKs and AWP. Searson's all set towards that A peak from CT spawn. They're going to converge in, split towards the B site. They've got Nafani and Inters and Shiro with a fantastic slow face. Nafani with his kill. Inters holds down the crossfire. Keto with 1 to return, but Inters still on the site. Spots him out with his eagle. Can stall for backup. Does not stay alive though. 3 on 2 still for the favor.
Shiro with the NWP, surely going to pre-aim up to Tizian's position. At least that smoke goes down to get a bit of cover and they can get the bomb plan in.
Advantage Gambit. Nade's trying to change that. Dishing out a tiny amount of damage though. Nothing major taken away. Shiro ready with util, switching out to the AK and everything. We have got a player pushing up towards window itself. Tizian gonna hide back. Keto in for close. Axel takes him down. It's Tizian versus 3, and Axel just swings for his easy kill. That's now Gambit back in the lead once again.
That was the NAF peak, as they say, where he knows what is going on there because Shiro gets flashed and he hears the shot. So he knows the AWP is probably posted on angle there. What happens from then? He can jump over and peek back in, slow walking to that right-hand side, allowing himself to have the peeker's advantage. That is a beautiful sequence, read to absolute perfection.
Look at the smile on Hobbit as well. He's chuffed with that round. So chuffed. And they've got every reason to be happy with the state that they've played in so far. Impressive game, even though Big are trailing behind, even though things have been much closer compared to the last map, compared to Ancient. Gambit are still in the lead though, and Big need to change that soon. This will not be the round to do so.
And when we have a look at how Gambit have performed on the CT side of Dust 2, 6 rounds against Enterprise, 4 rounds against Fiend, they're looking to stretch that by definitely a further margin.
Walks in, smokes down, flashes in from Searson. Trying to blind off the CT side, at least trying to just respond to their utility, try and bait in some more. So they will do with the Incendiary up first. Minute and 10. Just going to wait for the hit.
Yeah, that early flash not popping through. Not into the right position. Big. It looks as if they're going to split themselves up into this B site. Tabson can put some nades onto the cross out to CT spawn, try and make it more difficult for Nafani to do anything. It's going to come down to the 2 B anchors, though, to defend.
Now the smoke in from the CT side at least suppresses from the mid doors. Thompson head seen, but he wins out the fight against Nafani, puts that pistol to great use to smoke down the left and right, keep him covered as well. Try and flash his teammates into the BXE. You got a player at car, player back flat, Inters holds on to only one frag. Hobbit can get one of his own, but needs to double up and he can't do it. 2v2. Gambit a very far away position from the site. They will have Shiro getting up to this angle. Tabson gets given the bomb for the plant.
Yeah, Shiro's playing this incredibly passive, playing it deep out from CT spawn. He's got Axile to work with, and they've got a lot of nades to work with. That Incendiary and smoke could be massive.
One coming in from CT, one coming in from tunnels. Axile slows down the round. So does Shiro, but Game gets aggressive and he gets punished for it. AK in for Tabson, spotted both individuals. Tagged up Shiro, Molotov in to drive him away from the site. He knows that Shiro's close. He's the gun barrel, but Axile swings alongside him to bail out his teammate and get the round together. They get the half together for Gambit.
That's ballsy. And really for Big, if you want to try and make that aggressive play, you have to peek together. You can't just allow Gabe to walk through the mid doors and have Tabson sitting there passively on the side, because it just means for the AWP, it's an easy connection. He's forcing out that mistake, and then they can just combine together. Tabson struggling in that 1v2, the way they peek on each other's contact, and that was a round that, even though there's not a lot around it and it's only an eco, that could have been so much more. That could have been a round winner.
And if they had won that round as well, that'd be massive for Big. Equalize once again, try and take the half away from Gambit. Of course, they can't achieve that second option. Shot missed from Searson. Shiro going to re-peek it. Clear out all the mid-presence from the T-side line. Searson will go for a reface, but the CTs have also vacated it themselves, setting up for their standard aggressive plays. Nafani in particular towards lower tunnels. Move up to upper, recognize nobody's here. Get ready for the A hit. The stack up should be in for Gambit.
And we never used to see a lot of info plays into the upper tunnels. Now it's quite frequent, and we've seen how much of a detriment that's been to the map control being gained by Big, just being pushed in. They've got no idea that Nafani's playing in lowers.
Flash forward, he's going to hear the footsteps. Shiro will get caught off by the flashbang. Comes down to the defensive line of Gambit, see how far they can go. On the ace site, Nafani doesn't do anything in tons though. Picked up by Keto, great headshot.
Oh, flash over the top, doesn't actually blind them off at all, and it allows Keto to follow up with the entry. Shiro needs a trade back.
Or peaks in the perfect timing as Keto went for the swing. All-important shot that might buy Gambit a chance, but now he needs to provide support from mid. They've only got Inters on the B site and he's all alone. They smoke off that position, Searson, giving his own sniper set in towards the doorways. And Inters is just going to wait with bated breath to receive on the B hit.
He's got to try and get a multi-frag, and even if he puts this Incendiary down, he could try and slow the round.
Does put it up ahead of that smoke. Molotov back to respond from the T-side line. Count the smokes onto the doors, will suppress the rotations. Inters, flashbang turned away from nades, continue coming in to close range positions. Tizian's footsteps heard closed. Fourth player a car, can't turn to his right. Tizian gets the trade.
Oh, Hobbit deals with the AWPer. They don't know that Shiro's aggressed so far forward.
Spots the planter as well, gets his double up. On for the triple, does not quite land it, but he gets a second face and lets Tizian. The 5-7 will be enough, and Gambit will have enough. 9 rounds to close out the half for the Russian side. Big gave him a run for their money, but Gambit still looked like the team to beat.
I'd have to go back and look at that round in the demo, Jane, just figure out what happened there, because Searson was playing mid-doors, and it looked as if he was holding that CT spawn angle for such a long time. I think that when that wraparound play came from Hobbit, it drew the attention over. Hobbit gets that kill, They have no idea that Shiro's aggressed as far forward as possible, so they're not thinking we've got to plant safe. They're trying to plant open, and it just means as soon as that window peek comes in, that bomb's going to get denied.
Gambit looked fantastic on their CT half of things. They transitioned to the T side where things could get even scarier. What's scary is the amount of time that Groove's been involved in Counter-Strike since 2003. It's when you were born, Dweg.
I wish. I'd be even younger.
3 rounds to make up for Big, and the pistol conversions could be enough to get it together. They have done early damage in the long house as Gambit stack their way up and look towards the A play.
Yeah, Big just fall off in the contact pretty much straight away. They see that util coming out over the top. They want to play it quite defensive. Up onto the A side, Tizian's going to just be the info player, and it seems as if they want to run boost Shiro.
USP spots them, taps, does no damage. But very little from the Gambit side. Tizian on 93 points of health, so he's more than fine with what he just gained out of that one. Continuing to spot the T-side players as well. Might draw some attention back into the A site if only the commitment was not on from Gambit. They could have pulled a fake. Smokes across. Gade and Tabson down at CT. One player up on top of short will dive down to try and join them. Hobbit leans in. Keto still up there. Player on the back of the site, not spotted. The jump face around, and still the Glock connects the headshot, stabilizing the accuracy and gaining the advantage, drawing first blood. Is there any more in the tank for Hobbit? Is there anything more in it for his teammates? The elevator boost has 3 players that can go up there. Bomb has to commit. Searson comes up with 2 frags. Shiro needs to try and bail out. Axel and Inters have fallen. It's a 3 versus 3, and Hobbit suppressed to the site. Bomb drop. Now the 2 players up along all they have left.
They can't lurk anymore. They've got to start pushing forward, and Big are expecting an over-rotation. They're going quite passive, trying to see if they can defend it out because they know there's no smoke to cross. Shiro now in the 1v3.
Would have thought they would have stormed the site, given how the bomb's been dropped, maybe they didn't see it. Either way, it's Shiro versus them all. Tapping on, no smoke to cross, just got to jump, bunny hop, trying to avoid the bullets as best as possible, but tagged to 13 now. Stuck behind Car, trying to make it a bit harder to hit with the USPs. She's got even more damage, but can't find the picks against him. Finally, Tabson's going to fall. That's one he requires, but out of 3, there's plenty more to do. 6 that bomb. Gade's going to go for the jump face, try to tap him. Shiro gets behind the short boxes. Here they come. Gade hit shot not connected. He gets his kill together, and Big have the pistol round.
That's very clever to the way that Big played that there, Jay. They realize 3v2. We've dealt with all the A-site players. We know that that bomb's being dropped, and they're going to just be lurking. They're going to try and see if they can play the post plan. That doesn't happen. So, okay, let's give them the respect, because we know if they cross long, they're going to have a difficult time. They've already used their cross smokes. So let's just play passive. Let's wait for them to cross in dry. The only problem is they give too much respect in that a bomb plant goes down. That's an extra money cash injection.
No major cash output for Gambit in this round. They'll buy the scout for Nafani, sure. Pistols in for the eco bases. They want to get guns out early thanks to that bomb plant bonus. Trying to deny Big on the lead. The scout v scout action towards mid. See Searson winning it out. Done damage to Nafani in this one. Passing that back off the Shiro as a result. Tizian takes his damage. Turns still to the HP advantage for Big.
Yeah, Gambit don't really like force spying on T sides of Dust 2 when they get the bomb down in the pistol but lose the round. I've seen it a couple of times over the course of this event. Try and see if they can just do some further economical damage. No one on A directly. The closest player is Searson up from Car.
Set and ready with scout in hand. Shiro looks back. Searson might challenge him directly here. Nades on. Oh, that's quite heavy damage. Searson even lands a collateral. Further nades on to Shiro and Axel. Nades have been ripped apart in this one. Eco pistols and a scout out. Searson looking for a bit more. Can't land his 3rd frag. He's close towards it anyway. Axel actually gets punishment for it. But Tabson's there to clean house. Finds his 1st. Should find his 2nd soon. See if the Deagle can find anything in this one, but Axel should locked out of the round.
Yeah, well placed with the utility usage is all important there from Big. The way that HE comes through from Tabson on rotate in from CT spawn, puts it down in the right position, and then the scout is able to back him up. Searson getting in with a couple of kills. Axel just waiting for an overextension, waiting for one of these players to just start aggressing forward. It's not really happening. We'll eventually need to start moving out, make sure that he falls, because there's no point holding on to this Deagle at all.
Tabson will eventually make him drop down towards that short position, grab the automatic weapon as well, upgrades the standard. Eco dealt with for the Gambit side. Big now have their 8th, and there is a gun round up to play for. This is where things pick up the pace, pick up the slacks for the Gambit side, if you will. Rifles should be able to beat out the gun buy for Big. They play this as a bonus round. Indeed, there's AKs across the board.
Some good long sports coming through means that Hobbit's going to be able to get the AWP, look for that first contact, even being flashed and smoked. Getting close, but not quite the connection.
A little bit late to that shot. Enters downstairs into the tunnels to try to hunt for another player on another shot. And the CT player across so effectively and efficiently. Without the noise of Shiro, this one to the wall continuously struggles here on Dust 2. Taps forward, flashes in. They're not going to peek ahead of it for the CT side. It's generally passive from Gambit. They're trying to bait them to try and do so.
Yeah, Axel's been playing a lot of this slow walk aggression out from the hut position or longhouse, just waiting to see if any of the CTs will just overextend themselves for the moment. Knowing that that long position's been taken by the CTs after Hobbit misses that first shot and sees the counter utility coming through Big. 1 round away from trying to tie up the scoreline. Very silent across the board, and now Gambit can start setting themselves up for a mid-play.
Flashes in the mid doors, smokes have gone down as standards. Counter mollies are in from the CT side, but same thing for Hobbit. We'll drive him away from the boost spot. Keto leans in, SMG in the cubby corner, also gets flashed forward. Hobbit can get that one kill with assistance from the Farney. Frag found to start off for the T-side line. The scout, the Searson connects one, not quite the second. B's overwhelmed. Tabson finds one trade, but it'll still be 4v3 for Gambit.
Oh, this round's done. There's no way Big are going to go for this. Just back off and save. You've got a couple of long players. You've got some decent weaponry around you. And notice, too, that positioning that comes out from Hobbit into the mid doors, Jay. He hugs himself in the corner, so as soon as they flash, he's not blinded at all. He can just peek off it.
You are right about the call here for Big to hold on to the weapons. The FAMASas, the SMG will stay in for round 19. Round 18 goes the way of Gambit. A 10th to their board and lead maintained and defended. Extended to 2 on the difference here. But Hobbit wants a bit more than just the lead. He wants to get the exit. Tabson caught off guard with his head turned away. Another good trade for the T's, and it looks like Gaden Tizzing were the only players left alive here. One at Suicide, one at the Longhouse. No one able to challenge either of those positions here from Gambit. But again, they're fine with that. First gun round goes their way.
I'm not really sure why we saw an overextension there from Tabson. They had some pretty tight angles that they weren't going to get exposed from, out from long and from that Suicide area. Just maybe looking for too much there, gets punished. Means only 2 weapons are getting saved into that next round. The economy overall looks okay. Definitely nothing perfect in for the Big side. Gambit, they're keeping pace, and this is one of the differences that we saw on Dust 2 previously, is they weren't really keeping pace.
No, they were struggling quite a lot, actually. Were able to catch up at certain points, try and defend or take deficits back to evens. Never able to gain leads here, so for Gambit, it's already positive signs. The first shot from Shiro is connected to Tizian already, however, and that's an even better sign for them. Straight wallbang headshot through the mid doors. Gambit can walk forward for it, out towards long control.
Yeah, Big had a perfect opportunity of force buying here. They've opted against it. They did the same on Ancient. Try and see if they can retake some of this long position.
Smoke in, but it lands a little bit too late. Shiro with his kill. Axel extends, sees 2 more. The AWP shot misses back, but Shiro turns to the pistol, and Tabson does not last long. Keto, 1v4, Deagle in hand. Whichever side they go to, they're going to have pretty much on lock. The kill should come in regardless. Spots that one player crossing. They may have seen him back. But yeah, not much to work with here in this round for Big. They were trying to keep their economy line at a decent level so they can rebuy back into round 19. Here they come. The AUGs, the M4s out for the CT side.
Now, Tabson or Tizian can drop over an AWP over to Searson. He can't buy himself, so if they do want to get that big ring forward, there is definitely potential there. Oh,
Wonderful shot.
Shiro had a slow start here to Dust 2. Seems as if he's back. Back and kicking.
It's back in the game. The right time to do so as well, Gambit. Feeling the pressure of Big, still knocking on their front doors, still bearing down upon them with the deficit that is still closing. Gambit trying to extend it back to 3 rounds on the lead for now. Will it go any further? Execution set into the B site. You've got the AUG of Keto watching already for him. Flashbang completely evaded. Spray onto 2. Sure with a responsive. Gade still close at the stack position. You'll see more utility coming in for him. Smokes down. Ahead of the game. Looking for the trades back in the hole. Back to 3 versus 2. Making it 1. Hobbit with his 1 trade out towards mid will be the only trade that they find out outside of the site itself. He's got a hell of a task to bring this round back.
Contact BXE coming through there from Gambit, and even with Hobbit being able to draw one of those rotations away, they weren't able to trade out that anchor. Gade getting away with a beautiful double, Hobbit being seen. And Gade, over the course of this event, even though statistically, I don't think he's had the best of performances, with some of his anchor holds on CT side, he's actually been delivering in quite a big way. And you could feel as if the reason why they've added him to the team and the sort of role that he's being applied to.
Sat, not quite the top fragger of the server right now. That's Tabson for his own part, at least for Big. Trying to work in some decency for the Big side as well. The double ops will come in for Searson and Keto. Gade rocking the M4. Tizian on the AK. Get a little out for Axel. Again, shows the limitations that Gambit are taking in their economy game at this moment. Flashes will go over to blind off Searson for the time being. Some plays in to try getting the longhouse position. They won't extend too far forward with it though.
Yeah, they know where both of the AWPs are playing from. Out for mid and out to long. Nefani now starting a walk-up. It all just comes down to trying to see if he can create a timing, see if he can catch Tabson aggressing far forward. Tabson actually just leaving a flash down towards that ramp position.
I'd be intending to use it. Leave it for a teammate to use, perhaps. Minute and 10. Decision's not quite obvious. Both him and for the Gambit side. They're stacked up on short, still 2 players away from the main force. A minute to go.
It does feel as if it's going to be that split into the A site with that late lurk from Axel out from the longhouse. Gade got to be careful. He doesn't get caught just rotating off from mid-doors.
Inters can make his way ahead of that smoke. Molotovs come back for the CT side and finally dives down towards CT. He's gone right past one though, and Gade can adjust. Get his shot in, try to grab that AK, but Inters now acts for mid. Hobbit taking damage. Tabson getting back behind the smoke himself alongside one Searson. With to go ahead and join him is Tizian, the man that falls towards long. Axel boosted up, waiting for the wraparounds. And with that kill, that might be enough for Big to throw in the towel again. 4 versus 3, Gambit have the sight.
This round is done. Inters with the off angle in from short. Big got so confused in that round. They don't know what's going on. So first of all, you've got the mid play of Inters that comes out with the swing. Nefani drops down into CT. He doesn't find anything. Gade looking for that weapon, falls immediately. And they think to themselves, okay, it's a fake short Exy. They're going mid to B. No, they're not at all. They're actually going into the A site, and things just get all fastled through. Axel's getting boosted up to that long position, and Tizian's just running through. They think it's B. He's got no idea that there's a long player, no idea that they're going back to A.
It's a fast responsive from Gambit to that 9th round for Big. Taken right back. Full control for them. No exits against the last 3 players of the CT side, so they do have a basis to work from now. How far will it continue? Still 3 rounds separate the 2 squads. Tactical pause was called here. I imagine it was probably Big that made that decision. Still trailing, and their tournament lives are on the line here. Gambit are only a few rounds away from victory on Dust 2.
And in the last 3 months, Hobbit is the 2nd worst rated player for Gambit on Dust 2, and he's putting on such a great showing. He's really leading by example. He's putting a lot of frags up. He's getting a lot of trade kills. Some of his lurk attempts are creating a lot of space. He's up there at 20 kills and 14 deaths. Big. There was a very good portion of this game, probably towards the tail end of that first half, or maybe in towards the middle, where it looked like they were starting to really gain some control. Now you look at it and you think, geez, down by 3, 9 to 12, money not great. Even going into the next rifle, we've got an SMG.
Much like how the end of the latest stages of Ancient, Gambit start to get in confidence. Big start to get worried. It's Keto with the frag. Kicks things off on Nefani. Now tunnels on that peak with the AWP. Big start for them.
Yeah, just that aggression coming through. Not hyper-aggression at all. Just getting in for a frag, falling back, playing the numbers game. Keto waiting for that notch smoke to go down, waiting as soon as he hears that to take the shot.
Here's the footstep instead, not the notch smoke. Does bait him in, though. Counter flash as well. Well-placed utility there from Big. Away as Gambit start to walk in to short position. Hobbit with the bomb. Going to pass that off to a team, maybe the entry man. Utility thrown out. They did make noise with that bomb. They're going to commit towards the A site anyway, so information that's pretty much going to be Useless to Big. They know what's happening. One player dive down towards CT. Axile covered off by Tabs. He's completely blinded by Shiro's flashbang. Keto can also chime in as well. Tabs gets a double up. Shiro desperate. He does find 2 picks with a Molotov burning, but where is the bomb? It's not on his back. It's actually back towards elbow, so he's got to go ahead and retreat back to position. He's hunting for a 3rd pick.
He's just trying to see if he can catch one of the CT sleeping on rotation. Might be able to just get that bomb down, plant for short, and just get the extra money.
Making a ton of noise to know exactly where he is. Tap it once, smoke seen, scope heard. Tap the 2nd time, look towards long, look towards CT. They're going to wait. They're going to go for the retake.
Get that bomb down, have that cash injection, and now it comes down to the 1v3.
Here they come. Shiro with his 3rd frag. He's on for the ace in this clutch. Turned away from drop down towards CT. Looks back over at elbow. Back still turned, player on site. Spotted with the scope. It's in the open. He's waiting, tapped once. Goes for the jumping no scope. That's not going to work out. He can't catch TC either. They're on a 10-second defuse though. He's got time. He's missing his shots though. He needs to land one desperately here. Needs to get Tizzy. No! It's desperate moves from Shiro. And it doesn't work out as Big will find the 10th.
That's unfortunate they're in for Shiro. Neither player with a kit in that situation for Big, so they've got to hold the 10-second defuse, and they're just hoping, begging that no-scope does not come through. And Keto all started in from him, and even in that round, you look at the way that's a 1v5. They're able to get another 3 picks and a bomb plan. Gambit got away with so much in a 1v5 there.
And 2 rounds separate them. Big still standing. 12-10, however, Gambit still hold the lead. For now, at least. Will that last? AK setting the defaults, limited buyback for the Gambit side. The bomb plant burn is definitely helping him with that. But Galil's still in for Nafani. Big have their AWP set for Searson all the way on shore.
Surely they don't peek it dry. Has to be a molly, and yeah, Searson's going to get forced back. Hold the angle just for long enough to see if there is a peak that comes off. He's going to burn down to 68.
Slight HP advantage for Gambit as a result of that. Doing the default as they walk forward to a pretty open short position. It does mean that Searson's reposition out towards long, however. Will they detect that, or will they believe that he's on ramp is the big question. 3rd man brigade putting a lot of emphasis on this A site for Gambit. Big will do the same.
They're starting to pass some nades between one another. Tabson's got another idea of putting that incendiary down. The issue is, what happens if Gambit cancel and go in for a mid to B split?
Oh, accounting for that particular front. They haven't really gone for that so much so in this map up. Nade on. Lovely damage being done. Hobbit to 51. One more players taking tank damage of their own right. Searson shots onto Nafani. Flashbang ahead of the corner. Tabson will not peek, neither will Gade. Searson gets a counter flash, and finally Tabson peeks in, but now it comes down to this Goose player. Hobbit, he's going to wait, he's going to go for the plant, and Gade's going to just play patient, drop that bomb even deeper into the site. The T's are going to fight for this, and Taxar's the only player to get a trade. Inters drops in turn, the bomb's out in the open, he's so far away from it, he does find a 2nd pick, but he's got to hold on to the AK. Big are bringing this back.
It comes down to the gamble stack. There is a lot of players down there on A, and for Gambit, even though they do decently with some of those entry kills, they do alright with the trading game, you've got 4 and A, and you're always going to struggle to open up that bomb side. What a great call that was for Big to just get as many players up there in ramp as possible, and they all just peek off one another really well. Searson, even with the AWP, is able to strike before they even start walking through to elbow.
Guns can't come out for Gambit in this next round. Tactical pause taken. Deep into the eyes of Groove and listen to his Julissa tones, what he might be saying to the Gambit side. Great play from Gade as well to lock down that position, and really was the difference maker at the perfect timing. To check all their corners for Gambit. That's what cost them that round. And they're going to force it into this round, actually. Hold on. This might get interesting.
Yeah, the loss bonus was only 1,900 going into this round, so it kind of put them in a double eco status, so they're going to buy it in. Try and see if they can catch Big off guard. Searson with the AWP peeking down to that suicide angle before. Gambit looking to try and see if they can take some long control.
Tizzy and Tabson to defeat Nafani. First man out, spotted the one player on the shoulder bait. Deagle doesn't connect his shot. Axel does though. Orb can't respond. Tabson can.
Getting into the pit of Shiro, continuing to try and do as much damage in as possible. Tabson and Searson are incredibly low. This does not look healthy for the A players.
Especially when you consider the pistols in play. These are going to be easy picks against them. Hobbit Cleaning up first. Spots them, taps up, sees the player towards mid. Keto with one good trade back. Searson's head gets popped as Inters finds Keto elsewhere. It's a 3v1 favor Gambit. Gabe's so far out of all this action, and they might have just forced it out with the force buy rounds.
And should we bring up the topic again of how many times Big have lost to force buys and half buys? This is a round. Where are the rifles? There aren't any, right? It's so limited. You've got the AK in for Axel. You've got the Scout in for Shiro. It's pistols for the rest of them.
What's the tally up to now for Big?
Oh, don't even get me a tally going. It's too many. I've run out of paper.
He's not joking on that front. 13 to the board of Gambit.
And that wrecks the economy too for Big. That is the difference maker. And just the confidence. Hobbit going up close. When you've got a Tech 9 against low HP players in that sort of distance, you're going to just rip through.
The confidence as well for him to go for that kind of a peak. He's a veteran, knows what he's doing. Just did that to perfection. Wonderfully played. All the way around the outside of the site. And you're right about those money line amounts for Big. The 1M4 that they saved in from Gate is going to be their best weapon. $1,900 loss bonus as well. It's kind of double eco to a certain extent. Yeah, they're going to have to force it here. All chips on the table. This could be Gambit on map and match and semi-final points. Unless Big pull off a miracle or unless they take us to OT.
I think we have to say, go Big or go home right here for the German side, because this is a game breaker. This round, they're forcing it down. Tizian didn't have money. Tabson the same. They've got to force buy it up. And Gambit, if they can realize the extent of the damage they've done to the economy, them converting round 25 could put them up 15-11. And this is just the notch smoke being lined up by Shiro.
I love the smoke. It's so intelligent.
If it lands. If it doesn't land, it's like,
oh, it landed this time, so it is intelligent indeed. Finally can start walking alongside teammates here. No one's going to watch it from the mid position for Big, so they'll be happy to sit back in the passive angles, wait for Gambit to take contact. But surely they have to make a play here, no?
You'd imagine so. Gambit have not put a lot of emphasis over to this B site in a while, and I guess it could allow mid-round for Keto to start making an info play, aggress forward, try and see if he's able to get some map control. Hobbit just waiting for some of these nades, and Big, they're starting to run out of the utility.
Baited in pretty well. Nades up, doing damage. SMGs. Scout out for Searson. Connects to the head and Nafani. All-important pick. Now Shiro's Orb versus that. Scout will keep his head tucked away. Still spotted. Axel and Inters get those kills together. Regardless, turn around. The sandwich in from Axel's flank will find Searson the same. Keto and Cade, last two players remaining. They can line up, and Hobbit will connect both of those picks. 14-11. Gambit. 2 to go before Big will be out of the V4 Future Sports Festival. And it's got to be an eco. They have to play for OT.
And they can't force buy here. And it really felt in that round like there was something to give. When that first pick comes through from the Scout, the issue was Tizian gets pushed forward out from Longhouse. And that is where we see Axel striking through. He catches him off, he aggresses forward, and look at how much that means to Nafani.
USP set in. A hard stack in towards the tunnel's position. Into the spoil them, taps forward. Sees what's going on and retreats right back into spawn. Rejoin his teammates if possible, recognizing there might be all 5 players out there. He's going to hear plenty of footsteps, most certainly. AWP Ashura might be in a bit of an awkward spot, so go ahead and join your teammates, mate. Yeah, we'll be able to escape, it's fine. Get to the bomb site, bomb down, and now just a case of picking apart all the CT players. Keto first of all. Tabs in seconds. Around the corner, Inters and Shiro just locking down a crossfire. Triple up for Shiro. And Tizian dealt with by the Mac 10 and Afani. 15-11. Map match semi-final point for Gambit. 4 for Big on the comeback. 1 final tactical called. It's do or die.
And this has got to be one of the best performances we've seen from Shiro an entire event so far. He has led with crazy numbers. Coming into the game today, Jay, we saw that he's the highest rated player in this event. Positive 71 KD, an average of a 1.60 rating with 82 AWP kills. And he's extended that even further in map 1 and map 2.
And I think as well, he was very slow to start earlier on during this map. He was just sat there like on 4 kills. Not doing much. Then he just found some inspiration or something. I don't know. For Gambit, whatever it is, it's led to this position. 3rd tactical called in by Big. Maybe the final tactical called in by Big. They've got one in the back pocket for OT, but the concern is getting to OT right now.
And they need someone to create an opportunity, and I'm probably looking at either Sirison or tabseN of creating that chance. Shiro waiting for an overly aggressive play towards that short position. Big playing 2 out from B in the early round. Sirison's aggressed short with the AWP.
Gane and Keto on that B defensive, pretty aggressive towards the tunnel's entrance. Nobody's there to receive them. It's Inters. Sat back for now. Orp looking in for Shiro, still looking towards that cross. Gambit happy to take this one slow.
And Afani waiting to get that molly down to the short position, try and see if they can force back Sirison if he does continue to stay aggressively. It just feels as if Gambit just slowing this round down completely, trying to see if they could draw the util, draw an overpeak, because for Big, they're getting desperate at this point. They're down by 4. They need to make a play.
Minute on the clock. Afani. Rather not smoke, has the AWP right behind him. There's no one directively in mid for Big. They've got tabseN, the closest player in CT. Probably gets smoked off of this position. Yep, Shiro puts it up. Counter nade is going to be a little bit off position. It does a tiny amount of damage. Sets up the split now for Gambit. 40 seconds.
Okay, aggressive forward. Afani catches the timing, the opening man advantage, and now they've got the opportunity of trying to split into that B side. At least tabseN gets a trade back with the spam in the smoke.
Yeah, blind kill, but it's all important. It's even standing. And that might drive Gambit into the A site. The bomb's still on short. Hobbit's going to go down towards mid, so no. They do have their heart set towards B. And Keto suddenly becomes the most important man in the world for Big. Shiro scoping in. Getting out of dodge, escapes the ire of tabseN. Keto with his first and his second. Not quite the triple. Axel trades it, but it's an advantage, and tabseN's going to capitalize on that. Get his pick to get a tag up Shiro as well. The 1v3 for the star AWPer, and no time left on the clock. He will find the exit, but Gambit stay alive.
And that was a pretty good call coming through from Gambit. They realized that Gate is the B player, and that they've caught tabseN in a position where he can't aggress forward out from CT. So read the information that there's only one player back on B. They think to themselves, there's one anchor. We're going to be able to overwhelm the bomb side. And Keto has such a sick hold with the AUG.
Big's final lifeline. And Keto held it all in the palm of his hands. 12 to the board. And another tactical. The final tactical for Big called in here. Kind of necessary to do so at this point, when you think.
Yeah, for sure. This is where pressure's starting to build, and for Big, just knowing that that round came down to an individual play, very similar to how Ancient came down to a few of those rounds where it felt as if individuals were really stepping up. Keto, we saw what he was able to do with that AWP down on that A anchor hold, and this time around playing B and getting at least one round closer. It's one step at a time.
Single AWP's out. Keto rocking the UMP. But despite Big's victory, still limited on the buy state here. Smokes up. Nafani, AK in to the longhouse, having his eyes set ahead of that smoke. Is Tizian that finds that opening frag. Incendiary's ahead of the smoke. I think it might have been extinguished by it. Gate also peeks out, finds Axel, and this round is falling apart now for the T side.
And they wanted to brute force some of those fights by pushing through the re-smoke out from the longhouse, and even with the flashes over the top, we see the way the Big are just playing anti-flash, turning away from them and striking back into action. Now Hobbit's trying to see if he can get some pace down from mid.
Shiro scoped in, spots one, but doesn't get the shot towards the man. He backs away at that crack angle. The AK instead from Hobbit, flash forward. He gets his trade. tabseN taken to Isengard as Hobbit continues his journey there. Searson trying to derail that, but no. Missing that shot tag to 22 instead. AWP still focused on that elbow angle. Can't see the man. Inters gets a trade. It's a 3v3. Big survival. May fall apart. Hobbit's got to sight. Searson has no idea. And the whole round tips on his head as Gambit within touching distance. Now that bomb's crossed. Gage missed it. Dizzy gets caught. 1v3 and Shiro will close it out. Gambit will take their rightful place in the grand finals of the V4 Future Sports Festival.
And just put yourself in their shoes for a moment. 3v5. They brute force their way out from Longhouse. They don't find any success. Hobbit's trying to create an opportunity. They flash over, and as soon as they catch off Tabson, everything starts going well. The B side's open, frags are being forced, so many aggressive plays, and Big, they bottle it at the end.
And so many mistakes in that last round as well. Getting out towards the mid door, looked away as the bomb was thrown over, so he could have caught crucial information, maybe catch a trade, do something in that regard. But like you mentioned, a 5 versus 3, you don't lose that by the basis of how Gambit had played. Yes, they had some great positional movements, but there was mistakes made from Big the whole way through.
Yeah, and that can be the difference maker sometimes, is those high pressure situations, brooding out those mistakes. And for Gambit, they get it done in 2. This was such a turnaround from the Dust 2 that we saw from them early on into the event.
Absolutely, and definitely an improvement to what we wanted to see from them. They tried to force Dust 2 into the map pool. They picked it time and time again. Always came out unsuccessful for them. So to see them actually win against a tier 1 team like a Big on this map, that's pretty massive for them given how they've struggled with it so far.
And it may show that they're comfortable playing the higher end teams when they play a team like a Fiend or an Enterprise that aren't there at the tier 1 level. They don't get to watch as many games from them. It could be more difficult to try and get those information plays. Here on Dust 2, against the tactical heavy side of Big, they come through.
I'm disappointed though that Big didn't win this map because I felt like that Dust 2 is their home domain. I do feel like, yes, there was some incredible performances from Shiro, but the team just didn't feel like they were on for it to me today.
And again, do we go back to the head-to-head? Yes, it was on the 11th of May last year. In his semi-final again, Gambit get the 2-0. They do the same again.
They do that indeed, and I guess the NKJ will have to rethink exactly what he says about his AWPers and how good they truly are at this particular stage. Big crash out in the semi-finals. They do make top 4, but Gambit move forward to the grand finals. It's back to Banks and the boys on the desk.
It was all a dream. Big just fell for Gambit's memes, pretending they couldn't play Dust 2 all tournament long, just to come through when it mattered and take the win. No, all jokes aside, it was a fight on their hands, but Gambit this time, the right players showed up. Playing Dust 2 obviously helped them a fair amount when it comes to this, but this one's going to sting for Big.
Yeah, I mean, Gambit making a statement on both Ancient and Dust 2. And Ancient, just saying that how dominant they are on this map. It's like a key part of that map pool and showing that, okay, you might be like a top team in the world, but you can't really challenge us on this map. And then moving on to Dust 2, they're showing us that, well, they fixed their mistakes finally, and then now they're here on Dust 2, being able to take these wins. And I think going into the grand final, which is the best of 5, and Dust 2 is a possibility there, it's a good thing that they can finally win on this.
Yeah, I think also for Gambit, it's what you were expecting to see from them in this tournament, right? Dominant on their own map pick, that's a weakness for the opponent. And then also just winning your opponent's map pick in a bit of a more, of course, grinding manner, right? Like bigger no slouches on Dust 2. And it's a game where Gambit lost both pistols. Like, sure, in the first half, they managed to win the all-important second round and still get some early momentum. But yeah, this was probably the most intense map of the tournament so far. I mean, so many clutches, post plants, or just rounds that go, late round, and there's like chaos, misdirection going left and right. I mean, the final round of the game shows it all, really. And I think you could probably tell for Big just a bit too much chaos in comms, right? Because you're in a 5v3 situation. You don't need to overreact to anything, really, right? Like, just kind of you can afford to be a little bit more patient in that situation. If it means, if you're Keto, like you're a bit late to rotate to A, that's where they're going, that's better than rushing it and then getting punished. And then you could see how Tabson and Gate were like, well, is it A, is it B? Like, where are we going? And it was just a clinic that Gambit put in some of those T-side rounds in the second half.
Let's take a look at round 7 where we got to see a bit of this long attack going through, and it was the Hobbit then pulling off the flank.
Yeah, this was really cool because you will see this trade on long, right, where the molly from Exile, I don't know if he hears him, if he's close enough to hear Tizian, but Tizian's going to use some of his own utility. You can see the rest of Big are grouping up short, and in these short executes, right, there's always one lurker. The question is whether it's the long player towards long top mid or the B player towards lower B. So because of this trade on long, Hobbit uses that information to push behind Cat, and he hits perfect timing before Tizian can hold that flank. He goes, comes from behind, gets 2 kills. Did he get a third? No, he didn't, but he gets 2 kills, buys time for Shiro so he can get 1 more kill. This was a super chaotic round, 2v2. Nafani is gonna win it in the end in a 1v1 clutch. The all-important round really here, and you would think like, oh, Gambit managed to grab the momentum once more, really, but as we will see shortly, big understanding that because Nafani is the only player left alive, their economy is still pressured, so they decide to buy again to try to reset their economy. And they were having a lot of success with those mid to B splits. Like they would always kind of penetrate the side, get the bomb down, and unfortunately they couldn't close out some of the retakes.
Yeah, on the B side, you're looking at some of those post-plan situations. I think there was this 2v3 and then a 2v2. Where Big had control of these sides, and then they opted to go for more aggressive play. Opening up, I guess, the situation for them where they just only had to focus on one player or just get some information. But unfortunately, like all of those aggressive plays just ended up like not going out in their favor and just losing them the run. And that was our opportunity to put like a chokehold on the city economy of Gambit. But as you said, lost. So here you are.
But when we are talking about economy, you got another clip to run here where it's the 1v2 that actually starts to finally destroy the economy.
Yeah, it was the following round that we just discussed. So they get the mid to B split, they get the buy, and they put Gate in a 1v2 situation. It was a 2v2 Hobbit with a fast flank as the kill on Keto, and now Gate in a 1v2, you think like, well, they can assume where he is. It's going to be really difficult for him with the Galil to win this round, but actually he does manage to clutch this, getting the kill on Shiro here at the very end, and that completely ruins Gambit's economy. They forced with only pistols, and we were like, okay, this is actually giving Big a lifeline. But I thought Big could have like won this half 9-6. I think they lost at 9-6 in the end. Like there were some really, really close rounds, and that's where you have to give props to Gambit and the composure that they've shown in some of those retakes, right? Still a young squad, inexperienced on LAN, and these are the matches, these are the rounds that are going to give them confidence moving forward, that they're able to, keep having that calmness that we've seen them exercise online time and time again, also online.
In a big way, and you were mentioning, John, when it comes to like Big's post-plan and stuff, at times, maybe like even the last round you mentioned, Janko, where it doesn't seem like the right information is being given over, there seems to be some sort of a disconnect in these pressured situations.
Yeah, I think there was this one round, especially like on the A side, for example, where Gambit were doing this execute through short, and then you had two players dropping down to CT, and obviously you had one who was like killed by Gate, and then Gate was traded, and then Tizian sensing this like pushed long and got caught off by Hobbit, So bit of a chaos, I guess, in the communication there, as we saw in some of these situations. That might have been like one of the key factors in like losing this map, but this is a map which, as Big, you have so much experience on, and just like it's a staple of your map pool, right? So I think there's a lot to like reflect on here going into like your next few LAN tournaments. Obviously, moving forward, you have Blast, you have IEM, so not much time to, I guess, really do that much practice, since these are back-to-back tournaments, but this is something that you have to work on.
Now, this Dust 2 loss is certainly going to hurt Big, but it's no shame in going out to a team like Gambit, right? Even if it is 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, Gate has been there for a couple of months. They changed their coach a couple of weeks ago, right? So there's still things to work on, but you do want to see more from Big at some point, right? Yeah. Are they just constantly going to be this gatekeeper team, kind of beats the weaker teams, but can't really make that next step? I think just winning Dust 2 would have been, nice to see, even if they would go on to lose Inferno, but absolutely the map pool is the big question mark, right? Like the statements made about Overpass, and then you veto it here. Of course, Gambit is a very good Overpass team, but you had to play Ancient. That was just not a nice showing. So yeah, that's what differentiates the very best teams in the world from the very good teams. It is the map pool. It's being able to be good enough on your like 4th, 5th best map. Anyone is like, as we've seen from Big in a lot of recent games, like Dust 2, they can play against anyone in the world, but it's a best of 3, right? And even in a best of 1, you're probably not getting Dust 2. So that's the next big thing for Big. Wow. I hate myself.
Well done, Janko. Well done.
I hate myself.
I love you still, so it's fine.
Evens out.
Evens out, 50-50. Gambit, though, now our first grand finalists. They're going into tomorrow. It's going to be a best of 5. And now they're in this surefire spot to be like, okay, this is yours in the bag, right? And they should be feeling massively confident with getting the Dust 2 one out of the way. Yeah,
I think for Gambit also, they've had already a number of best of 5 finals this year. I mean, the Katowice, the first one they won was a best of 5, but also the loss to Heroic in Pro League first season this year was because it was such a long series. Like it lasted something like ridiculous, like 7 hours, and they've gained a lot of experience. They gained a lot of experience exactly in that, how to kind of conserve your energy, how to approach a best of 5. That's why I think whoever comes from the other side, they're just going to get run over. And Tropic actually played them in a final or something. No, but at one of the CIS RMRs, I think in a final or something like that. And Gambit beat them like 16-0, 16-4.
Wow.
And it was 16-0 it might have even been Entropic's map pick. I'd be wrong, or Gambit's, doesn't matter. But you know, whenever a team has to play against them and you have no experience playing in a best of 5, it's a different type of a beast, right? So it just feels like Gambit, the only team that can beat them in the final is themselves.
Yeah, coming into this tournament with this, you know, Gambit, the most well-rounded team, the best map pool. I think that, as you said, that will play into their favor in the grand final. Who are you against? It was either Fiend or Entropic. You know, you had results against these teams in the past. Sure, you lost a map or 2 against them, right? But in the end, you should be the one favored.
Definitely. Well, let's see who our next grand finalist is going to be. It's time for us to go to a break. It will be a bit of an extended one, so take some time, relax, get whatever you need, some snacks, some drinks, order some food in. You never know. Whatever it is, you
A sandwich.
to pass your time. A sandwich.
Sandwich for lunch. Listen to the British people, it's the way to go.
I didn't say sandwich. I wouldn't have suggested sandwich.
Everyone says sandwich. Frank is on my ass for months about sandwich is perfect for lunch, so.
Well, you could go for something healthy as well. Maybe go for some just chicken breast. You know.
Yes, we're the definition of healthy here at the desk.
I am. I'm like a perfect male specimen, young
Yeah,
guy.
I saw the 2 cakes that you took over there. Like, James lied to me. It also says players only.
Stole
So
from
take
the
it from
players
the
as
I've got a
player.
player band on. I'm sneaking. I'm living back in the old days, man. I'm pretending I'm still
It's
relevant.
not that type of player that they reference.
Damn, what a shame. But we will go to a break. It will be an extended one. And when we come back, we'll be deciding who is going to be our next grand finalist between Entropic and Fiend.